It's just like the dog meme where like, this is
Everything's
fine.
I started making my bed and I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year.
Sometimes the wrong self-help book won't help at all.
It's like, I know it's a child's thought because it's just feeling. And then the other half of it is looking at the Vienna sausages on the counter and being like, I need one of those now, actually. I physically cannot forget what it was like to be a child because it was the hardest period of my life.
Yeah, I am a smart mouth. How'd you think I wound up where I am, who I am by now? Just another minute till we sister sign off. So if you're not with it, wave bye bye bye. Hit me up, or you're gonna have a real bad time.
Welcome, queers, cunts, ghostsy, I don't know.
Ghosts and ghouls and demons alike.
Hello.
They, thems.
I'm trying to
I
think.
used to say theydies and themtal thems.
Vental thems. I like the vental thems part.
Themtal them.
I like ghosts and ghouls. Yeah. Hi, ghosts, ghouls, and the mentally unwell. I am your host, Ash Lamoureux. Sorry, I think it's hilarious when I make jokes about being unwell. Our guest today is also someone unwell. I'm kidding. Robin is actually a fantastic person, and the only person I could think to really have come on and talk about such a heavy topic while also making it understanding and fun and light. So everybody, hang on, let me get everybody.
Yes.
Everybody,
Aw.
welcome,
Little
Robin.
spider.
You see this?
Hello.
It's Lucas, the spider. So today we are going to be talking about. I'm not digging the look anymore. Today we are going to be talking about mental health. Heavy sauce topic. It's also been like one of the most, I guess, requested topics since I did my lore and mythos episode. You know what? As someone with like a very macabre, dark personality, I also want to like ask people about like their hard times and be like, what keeps you going? Like, how many times have you tried and why'd you stop? And not because I'm like, you should keep going, but because I feel like all of us have that and none of us talk about it. Like what keeps us here? What helps us through those like really hard times? What made us give up on giving up?
Yeah.
I don't know that ended.
Like,
it comes in waves.
What got
now.
you to that point? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, if you don't mind and if you feel comfortable, share with us a little bit about, I guess, your journey through this hellish landscape we call life.
This chunk of planet Earth that we have, this like, you know, space rock that we just have that gravitates around the sun. And sun also helps with your mental health. It's important to go out there. We're all trapped
sun your butt
inside all the time.
Sun your butthole.
Yeah, sun your
Sorry,
butthole.
that's something I saw from the white ladies on Instagram. They say go out and do sun yoga. And you know what? Because I am a white lady, that is very susceptible to just weird shit. I was like, I mean, I guess that is where the sun don't shine.
It doesn't shine there. Not on our backsides, not our booty holes.
I do have to say, it didn't necessarily, I guess, it helped with my mood because laughing at yourself is the best thing in the world. And just standing there, spreading your butt cheeks apart in like downward dog.
It's like, hey girl, if you haven't tried it yet, you need to go under the sun. You need to just like spread them cheeks and let the whole world, like the whole world as in the sun.
And if you were sad, if you were sad before, just like the mental image, because like if you're, I feel like you're also like this, Robin, you're just like extremely self-aware of like what's going on and like how
I'm very aware. Like right
how
now,
you can
like
be perceived.
I'm aware that all of my space right now is messy, which affects like my mental health, right? You know, that phrase, out of sight, out of mind. Oh God, there are days where I just want to go and take all my shit and throw it in the trash can. I'm like, I don't need any of this.
Mm-hmm. And
but
then
it all brings me joy. So much joy. I'm like, I want to keep on to that. I was crazy for thinking of throwing that in the trash. I'm like, I don't need to do that.
The worst is when
sentimental.
The worst is when you throw something away and then like there comes a time when you do absolutely like need it for comfort or something and you're like,
yeah,
no, it's okay. The bunghole thing, I will say, it does help because it makes you kind of giggle at yourself. It's a good way of not taking yourself so seriously, and I think that helps me a
Yeah.
lot with
Yeah.
my mental health. Is just like, you are a jester of life. Like, this
Mhm.
life is the greatest joke. Stop
It is the
taking it all
greatest
so
joke.
seriously.
It doesn't always have to be so serious, and like life is an ass and it sucks sometimes and it needs to just blow a little bit, you know? Like with the mental health things that I struggle with, like I was diagnosed with depression at the ripe young age of 10 years old. So and 10 is like that's a pivotal number for everybody, for
Yeah, that was
humans.
the first time I made an attempt. So I guess we both kinda got a diagnosis.
Yeah, at that age, at the big old 10-0, you're in school and you have these family pressures and you have the pressures of like, I need to get good grades. I need to graduate. And like me, I was I was only the second person out of my all sides of my family who graduated high school.
Oh my
And
god, so
that's
then
like that's a this huge victory, you
and
know? They're like, "When is your graduation?" you
on
know?
top of that, it's a lot of pressure. Like, that's a lot of
Yeah.
it's unspoken expectations that I think something I mentioned in my first podcast is adults forget what it's like to be a kid, and I think that might be why I am how I am and why I love children so much. It's just like,
Yeah.
I physically cannot forget what it was like to be a child because it was the hardest period of my life, and,
Yeah.
like
And we're all children still
yeah.
too, and we lose it, and we forget that we have that inner child that we have, that we also need to, like, hold its hand and brush
Mhm.
its hair sometimes and give it a hug and
Yeah.
just say, even though we know there are clear times when you're aware as an adult that shit's not okay right now, but you
Yeah.
have to tell yourself that, like, "Hey, you're okay because you're here and you're existing and you get to experience life." And I say it like that because I'm so obsessed with the dead and the ones who have passed away. I always think
Mm,
about them
me too.
constantly.
They're still here. Never mind, we're not gonna go
They
into that.
are.
That's another episode. Also, I just realized that we both have moons
We do, we both
on
have
our shit.
moons.
We did not coordinate that. Like, something you just said actually drew this to mind is we can tell ourselves, like, everything's okay. It's good, but it's
Yeah.
because we've had all of this life experience, and I think one of the things that adults forget is kids don't know how to do that. Like, we don't
No, they
know
don't.
when things are okay. We don't even know when things are really bad sometimes, and it's like, communicate with kids because you had that unspoken expectation on you where it's like you were the first, and
Yes.
sure, they didn't say you have to do this, like, you're gonna
Yeah.
change, you're a generational curse breaker, you're our system changer, you're the one. They don't have to say it for a kid to feel it, like, children pick up on the smallest stuff, and I think
They do. They're little sponges, it's literally the phrase my mom used to say all the time, "Monkey see, monkey do."
that's a lot of weight. How God, I'm, like, thinking I just became a parent. I was parentified at, like, 9,
Oh, yeah.
10, and so that's heavy for you. Do you have any siblings? Like, did you have compounding
Yes, I have a brother. We are a year and a half apart,
Mhm.
and, like, when he was born, I found when my mom said she was pregnant, she was telling me what I was very excited because I knew that he was somebody that I wanted to protect, and I already
Mhm.
loved and cared for, and couldn't wait until he came into the world.
That's how I felt about my sister Carly. She's, and this has a point, I promise. I say that she's the first being that I ever felt love for. Like, until that point, she's also my first memory. She's just sitting in, like, you remember those sink tubs with
Yes.
the yellow sponge? Everyone, it's crazy now
Yes.
because everyone has different things. And I remember when it was just like a shared experience. Like,
I was,
capitalism.
it's like it's like a baby bucket to bathe your baby in.
Yeah, and it was like that really deep blue with just the yellow padding on it. And I remember staring up from the kitchen, just like kitchen sink, because that's where you wash the babies.
Time to
Um,
wash the baby in the sink.
and I saw her. She was like a little Michelin baby. She had these fat. She was just like tires stacked on top of each other, just
Got
rows
marshmallow
on
arms.
rows.
Mm.
And I'm looking at her little circular feet because they were just like puffballs with little.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Just
want to
little
touch. Yeah, I was like, I want to touch the baby. And I was like, I felt bad that I wasn't being included. And I was like, I love it. And it
Yeah,
was
you're like, "I love it. I want to
it
see it."
thinking of this memory, it's crazy too, because it is the most simple. It's like, I know it's a child's thought because it's just feeling. And then the other half of
Yeah.
it is looking at the Vienna sausages on the counter and being like, I need one of those now,
Oh, yeah.
actually.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, those are base desires. Like, I was just like, I want to touch this adorable baby. I love this baby so much. Now, the thing I wanted to connect this to is my siblings have been a huge, huge help in my mental health. Have you sort of experienced the same thing?
Yeah, my brother has always been a huge help and a help to my mental health
Mhm.
because, well, I mean, one of our bonds we have is like having twin syndrome where I would like read his mind and everything, and we'd like, look at each other and be like, huh?
The Irish twin shit.
Yes, yes. He's hearing impaired. I was still gonna love him no matter what. I was,
Yeah.
communicating for him to my mother and everything when, we found that out, but he always brings me joy,
Yeah.
and he's a very, he's a very strong individual who's got, like, a very strong heart too, like, he's very caring, and, like, he would just clock in on me when I'd be sad sometimes or, like, when, going through stresses and, like, I don't know, with, like, friends or family or what, and he would just be able to look at me and just be like, "Hey," like, saying to me in the eyes, like,
Are you good? Do we need to
"You
step
good?"
away?
Like, "I'm
Mhm.
gonna give you a hug," like, "Hug accepted?" And I'm like, "Yes." And it's like those moments where he's came in and he's done that and the reassurance that he brings, because 'cause I've always seen him as, like, since he was a baby, just, like, the biggest, kindest heart, just seeing him I saw him as, like, he's ball of love.
Yeah.
And my bond with my brother, him being around and even caring for my mother and everything, like, I'm so grateful that he's around, and it actually when I think about him, it brings me immense joy to know that I have, and there's some people who don't have siblings or,
Yeah.
but chosen family too, you find your chosen family.
Sometimes the chosen family is better than the real
Yeah,
stuff from time to time.
yeah.
We just got real lucky because we got awesome siblings.
Yes, we love our siblings. Like he because of like communication issues of him being hearing impaired, he would have issues with communicating his emotions or his
Mhm.
feelings. Literally, getting the words out of your mouth of like, what am I feeling in my body? Why am I feeling like this? And I would help them navigate them, and I would literally tell him like, you're feeling this right now. I see that it's because this made you feel like this, what I'm gathering. And I would literally tell him, like, it's going to be okay because we're
Mhm.
here and we've
Yeah.
got each other. And if there's ever something like, you just have to come to me. You just have to, like, be open about it. And when you struggle with words, because there's that phrase we have that words are hard, like, even as much as
Expression expression is difficult.
holding hands with somebody when they're sad and you see them. I do this thing when I see somebody if they're feeling a certain way, or especially when they are sad, I will extend my hands out like this
Mhm.
for them
You've
to
done that to me a
grab
couple
them.
times.
Yeah,
In,
because
like,
the
in distance too, like, I've gotten the energy of it.
Mhm. Yeah, and,
Sorry I interrupted.
like oh, no, you're good. And, like, whenever it came to that, like, and I'm a very physically affectionate person, like, I love giving hugs and kisses and, like, doing that's, like, what you do, to a newborn baby. You're just like, "Oh, I wanna hug it and kiss it, and I wanna
Mhm.
make it feel safe in the world and everything." I'm like that. So, being able to have my mother around and my brother around and my grandfather around and my auntie in times of mental health where I could not get words out, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I don't think they're gonna understand, even if they probably understand, because
Yeah.
that's an anxiety.
Yeah.
I would just ask them, like, "Hey, I need a hug right now.
Yeah,
Like,
can
can
you
I have a
hold
hug?"
space? I think one of the
Yeah.
important things, well, one of the because it takes a while when you've had mental health struggles that long. I have mine. It's so funny. I don't even know that it was like fully mental health, because as I've learned to accommodate and advocate for myself, I'm like, I feel a lot less depressed. I get situationally depressed, like things change my mood, and it was like very heavy. But the other thing that's changed as I've gotten older with any kind of like struggling suicidal ideations, things like that, are what you're saying, where it's you have a basis of support. You have people you can turn to, people who can understand and like communicate in the ways you need, even if it's a complete lack of clear communication on like, this is what I'm feeling,
Mhm.
or I'm depressed.
Mhm.
Like me and my siblings have something kind of set up where I'm like, do you want me to just hold space, or do you want help? Where it's like, I have a tendency
Yeah.
to be like, want to solve problems, and that's not always helpful. Sometimes that makes things a lot worse. And so
That's true.
building this foundation where you can just be like, hey, words are hard. I can't express right now.
Yeah.
I need to be held, or I need to be heard. Like I just need to feel at this moment, and that's going to help, cuz sometimes being autistic, emotions are incredibly hard for me to regulate, and unfortunately a lot of that was broadcast on television, which sucks. People
Mhm.
are like, "Ooh, drugs," and I'm like, brain. It's
It's my
worse.
brain. The
It's
drugs is my brain.
I make 5% more DMT than everyone else on earth. I'm tripping all the time. It
Tripping.
it sucks. My therapist and me did a blood test, cuz she was like, "Let's see if you have clinical depression," cuz
Yeah.
I hit some struggle points, and I was like, I don't know, like I can't think situationally what's causing this. Thank God for therapy, cuz she was like,
Oh, yeah.
it's family stuff again. It's always family
They're
stuff
pretty
with you."
scary, but, like, it's always that, like, just give it a go and see how it goes, and if it's not for you, but it helps because
Find
the
the right
therapist
therapist. I've been with the
yes.
same therapist for a decade. I'm
Oh
so
my god,
happy
that's
she's only like 5 years older than me, cuz if she was much older, I'd
yeah,
probably die when I'd just be like,
yeah,
"Cool,
yeah,
it's
like, you're
done."
just like, you don't even know, you don't understand,
Who the fuck am
but
I supposed to
finding
talk
the
to now?
match, yeah,
The match is
because
the most
you have to
important.
find, like, you have to find your therapy partner,
Yes.
because not all of them will click.
No.
I had instances where I did not get along with, therapists that were like, and, when you're young and you're like, "I'm discovering my gender and sexuality."
Oh, and then they're just
Straight up,
biased as hell.
yeah, had a therapist, and, like, nothing to her, I was young anyways, I was expressing I'm bisexual.
Ew, I'm so sorry, guys. I have a sinus infection right now.
We got we're both sick, we're ill. What? We're ill.
We're the
I'm ill.
illest. We're the illest.
Oh.
Uh, yeah, but I have had, and I think that's such a huge problem, because you have people who may not necessarily feel comfortable communicating with their families. I know
Yes.
that's a big one, because
Yeah, because there's a lot of families,
that are super
that
judgy.
super judgy, it's not anything that's at the table, that's talking about, nobody's ever opened about it,
My whole
you
family was
know?
like, "Don't ever talk about your shit. You don't air out your laundry." I'm about to air all of it, because I now know that that is an abuse tactic to
I'm gonna
keep.
put it on a nice clothesline.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on a clothesline. I'm gonna beat it with the little tennis racket thing that you used to see in the Looney Tunes cartoons. You know what I'm talking about? I've always wanted
Yes.
one. But that's a common thing I've heard from a lot of other people who have grown up in volatile families. I love having friends who have healthy family units, because
Yeah.
that's what I cultivate in my life, is I find healthy people to surround myself with. I don't find friends. I find
Yes.
people full of love. I surround
Yes.
myself with lovers, because I'm a lover. And so I'm like, if you hate yourself, or you hate any of this stuff, there was a girl out here who tried to say something. She was like, "You look like your mom," and then like gave me this look. And I'm like, thanks. My mom looked like Gillian Anderson. Like, she was a gorgeous person. She's just not pretty inside. Was that supposed to be an insult? You
What's it? Just cues the X-Files song.
Someone called David Duchovny. I look like the woman he should have married. I'm kidding. I shouldn't say any of that. Anyway,
Gillian.
But I feel like when you don't have that family unit, they kind of go to therapy. It's like, okay, I can't talk to my family. Let me find a therapist. And when I
Yeah.
was 13, I got put into therapy and it sucked. I thought therapists were evil because the person that they were
Mhm.
relying on for information about me or trusting, and then they would say everything I talked to them about to my mom. It was like, okay,
Mm.
all of these adults just put me into an even more unsafe situation because that is my
Yeah.
abuser. Like that
Mhm.
is the unhealthy person in my life. Social workers, everyone. I'm like, if I'm coming to you, do you think
Yeah.
that person cares? Like,
Yeah.
I'm bypassing who's supposed to care the most. And so I think situations like that, where it's like a therapist has kind of proven distrust, or because it was multiple therapists, a lot of that is discouraging for a lot of people. Like, it kind of turns
Mhm.
you off. It turned me
Mhm.
off as a teenager
Yeah.
from therapy. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this shit. Every therapist I've ever
Yeah.
had is completely unhinged. Like,
Yeah.
I was 17 and got proposed to. That was the first time I've been proposed to 6 times.
Oh my god.
It's been a no all 6 times. Good luck to number 7. Yeah. I don't
Lucky
even
number 7. Whoa.
third time's the charm. No. No. But
No.
I told this lady, and there was a bit of a language barrier, and it was also exhausting because I had 2 different appointments a week, and this is before like telehealth and everything really started, because
Yeah.
that only really popped up during COVID.
Yeah, it only did pop up during COVID, and there are times when telehealth, I wish it was there. I'm so glad it
It would
exists
have
now
been
because
so helpful for like
Mhm.
most of my life, and for
Yeah.
autistic people. But I told this therapist, like, I was like, he gave me a ring. So I was seeing a psychiatrist. This was the psychiatrist, a psychiatrist and a therapist on different days of the week. And I
Oh, okay,
liked my
yeah.
therapist, but my psychiatrist was like, I don't know, like, very, I'm not going to pull in like where she was from or anything because I don't think that that's
Mhm.
pertinent, but there was a language barrier. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know
It's
how
2 mental health
effective.
days in a week, too.
Yes, and I was a teenager, so I'm going to school. Like, all of this stuff. I had just gotten kicked out of my house. I was finishing up maintenance chemo.
Mhm.
I was unaware of my autism diagnosis. This woman
Yeah.
was. My therapist I'm with now was the first person to be like, and I was like 23 when this
Oh,
happened.
yeah.
She was like,
Mhm.
I'm seeing all of these other diagnoses, but you're autistic.
Mhm.
And I was like, what? But so this
Yes.
therapist I told about my engagement at 17, I want to point out that I was also a senior in high school. I was a child. She said,
A senior in high school. Oh, okay.
yeah, she was like, good for you, honey. And I was like, I did that as a test and you failed it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm 17 and I know this shouldn't be happening and it's my life. And then
Yes.
my therapist, bless her heart, got pregnant and then like left. And I was like, I'm never going back again. And actually, so things are going to trigger warning. I'm going to be conscious of that.
Mhm.
Okay, that psychiatrist and the carelessness of the situation, and just like the not hearing me when I was like talking about what was happening, led
Mhm.
to like my 4th suicide attempt. And she had given me
Yeah.
Klonopin. She gave me an 80 pill prescription for Klonopin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pills
Mhm.
for someone who has suicidal ideations, and that pill causes suicidal
Yeah.
ideations, and it did not. It was very bad. Klonopin and me
Yes.
were not friends, and I took all of them.
Yes.
And, it, like, ruined it temporarily, like, stressed every relationship in my life, and it was like, I knew that the medication had made me worse,
Mm.
and
Yeah, you are aware.
when I
Yeah.
called her to try and talk about it, she was just like, "Let me see if I can get you another prescription." I had just been released from the hospital for an
Mhm.
attempt, and she's like, "Let me
Yeah.
try and get you mo," and I was just like, "I think I'm gonna stop therapy for a little bit and just get off
Yeah.
of all
Yeah.
medications," because I was like, "This is no," and just before this attempt too, I had
Mhm.
a 10-day stint in a psych ward, and so I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just on a grippy sock vacation and you thought to prescribe me. And so I think a lot of people hear about
Mhm.
these situations and they're like, no, therapy is useless, and it does
Yeah,
feel that way at
does. It can
first.
it yeah. It can feel like that at first,
You just
but you have to give it a try and keep at it too as well.
you
Is
have to
it's the
be
persistence.
committed to yourself. Yeah, you have to be
Yeah.
persistent in wanting to heal, because you can do this work without
Mhm.
a therapist. I did most of
Yes.
it by reading. Like, I just did a whole bunch of reading, and I would journal, and not self-help
Yeah.
books. Do not read self-help books if you are depressed. Don't.
Don't, because they will, sometimes the wrong self-help book won't help at all.
No, they'll tell you you're manifesting it. And it's I hate
Mhm.
fucking woke
Mhm.
spirituality so much. Like, pop
Yeah.
spirituality pisses me off, because if you're sad, you did not manifest it. Like, that's not
No. Yeah.
I just
It's not of anyone's fault or your own fault when when those moments and when those times happen, or when you're getting there to that, when sometimes there you don't know, or if you're aware and you're like, I'm trying to figure out, because we all work on cycles. We all
yeah.
work on cycles. Everybody's the same when it comes to that. It just is different to each an individual, and it's an ongoing continuation of care with yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you've struggled with it, like lifelong, or it's like grieving, and that can have its time, but like it's always a continuous thing that you always have to like I've been saying it to myself because it's been difficult, that I have to take care of, because I have to remind myself that I'm like, it's literally just in this moment. I am like, I had a bad week. It's because I had the bad week, but the bad week wasn't of my own. It's because of my health, and certain stressors in the world, like the news, because that can affect you heavily. I pay attention to world news and politics and everything like that, and it breaks my heart and has always broken my heart since I was young, and when I was a child, despite being diagnosed with depression after 10, because when you look at those things too, and the more that you know about violence that's in the world, the hurt, the scare, the all the scary things on this
Mhm.
planet,
The real
it
monsters.
accounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, those real monsters.
Cuz it's there's the things you can control, and there's the things you can't. You can't control when bad things have happened to you. And like, I deal with
Yeah.
this problem with my family a lot, where they're like, your life is the way it is because you made it that way. And I'm like, really? Not the two parents who do we want to go
Yeah.
down this route? So
Yeah, it's
all
like,
of
is this the
this,
route we're going to take when it comes down to this? Yeah.
everything that you've done is also my fault. Cool. Good
Yeah.
to know. It's a very specific group of people that really wanna, like, push that in, but I'm gonna say
Mhm.
it because I feel like you have this thinking a little bit too, where it's like, the only thing you can control is how you react to something, and you are allowed to be patient with yourself and grieve.
Yeah.
You are allowed to mourn any versions of yourself that may have died. I die every single week. That's why this is called I'm dead. I am
Mhm.
continuously dead and dying, and I come back as a new person. You can ask this one. They've
Yeah.
met like 8 different
Yeah.
versions of me that's just like, "Oh, Ash's boundaries are stronger now." And I'm like, "Yeah, this one person pissed me off last week, and I was like, hey, rip it all out, look through it." And it's because
Yeah.
the only thing you can control, because sure, yes, if cycles keep repeating in your life, we have to take responsibility for some of these cycles.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
all of our friends are mean to us. Maybe we need to change our standards of friends. I'm not
Yes.
using this as an example. I consider very few people friends. Robin knows
Yeah.
this. But like, bad things happening to people and then them internalizing it as like their fault, I think is one of the biggest issues between like spirituality and psychology right now, because
Yes.
spirituality says one thing, and it makes it very
Mhm.
conflicting, because it causes this hard line between spirituality and psychology, and those two things in tandem have helped me
Yes.
exponentially, because
They
like,
can mesh, they can coincide. Yeah.
you have to honor your spirit as well as your mind, and your reaction, how you choose to handle things and how you plan to progress, that's in your control. You
Yeah.
can do anything with that.
Yes, you can do anything. We as humans have all our power within ourselves of our own being. Like I always say that the brain is just this squishy little thing, and literally one thought can change your entire thought process, or how you see something. And our brains are truly are crazy because
Mhm.
they are naturally just that way. And like if, for example, in moments of like, what can I do, right? Like you see homelessness on the street, you see a homeless person. If you're walking, you're going and doing something grocery shopping, and you see somebody and you're struggling, and you make the conscious decision to acknowledge them or ignore them. And then I think there's a third option, and that's the thought that's lingering usually afterwards when you make those one or two decisions. And like when it comes to like homelessness, and you see somebody and you're like, okay, I see this person, wow, I see that they're on the streets. I bet this person is hungry. A thing I used to do in my youth, and like it's still something that I do. If I see somebody and they do ask me for help, I will go and buy them a meal. I will
Mhm.
get them food. I'll be like, "Hey, I'm gonna get you this." If there's like a fast food place or a grocery store, and I'm like, "I'm gonna go get some food. I'm gonna go to get some water for you." And
Yeah.
then I'll be like, "Stay right here." And then I come back to them and I give it to them. And because of this one little gesture of just me giving them food, gives them another day to live, a less like they don't have to think about the food that they're going to be eating, and if they have to go and ask other people.
Yeah.
And like extending that graciousness and that care to them, it fulfills the self,
Yeah.
and it does fulfill them. Yeah.
We kind of touched on this on our phone call just before, like, getting on here,
Yeah.
that it was like I have a tendency, because what you just explained is, like, I put myself in people's shoes. Like, I've been homeless. I was homeless for a little bit when I lived in New York
Hmm.
way long ago, not like,
Hmm.
before I left the first time.
Yeah.
It was hard. I knew I could not do that shit out here. But it was like, I know what that struggle is, and I'm like, I try to do for people what I would want done for me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want, like, money or anything. I'd love, like, if it's here, I will go and get, like, a
Yeah.
big ass water bottle for somebody. And sometimes
Yeah.
I do just
Absolutely.
have $1. And I've had people chew me out for it before. They're like, "You're struggling though. Like, that dollar
Hmm.
is your laundry." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you know
and
what?"
and they say these things because they're in survival mode too.
And I'm like,
They're
"That's,"
in survival mode. Yeah.
and I'm like, "Yeah." But it right then, it was $1 that someone needed more than me. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't need that dollar. I have a home and a bed, and sure, maybe some bills I'm late on, but I am struggling much easier than other
Hmm.
people. And it's like, sure,
Yeah.
it's not something that's going to, like, fix you by helping another person, but it's a really great
Hmm.
example of, like, extending that understanding. And it's like, if you can extend that
Yeah.
understanding, um, of situations, it
Yeah.
kinda helps get rid of the helplessness, because, like, everything in the news and stuff really does compound
Yeah.
onto your depression.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I cry so
There's a
much.
reason why when you go to mental health clinics or you go to the hospital, they tell
There's
you to put away your phone.
there's also locked TV channels.
Lock TV channels. True.
Yeah, you
Very
only get
true.
to watch, like, Nickelodeon and Disney and PBS. But it's that it does compound, and it causes cyclical thinking, and so it's like, we can't solve every problem, and your first experience in the world is with you, and if you're not doing well, you can't help others in the
Mhm.
way
Yeah.
that you need to.
Yeah.
And so when that overwhelm and stuff starts, where it's just like, there's all of these monsters, there's all of this badness, the world is on fire. What is an easy
Yep.
goal we can accomplish that's going to make me feel better long term? And it's like, you know what? I need to start making my bed every morning. Good. Just start doing that. Or
Yes. Yeah.
you were
You'd be
talking about,
surprised making a bed in the morning every single day though it may seem ridiculous because you're like, I'm just gonna lay in it later.
I started making my bed and I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire by the end of the year. That's actually a statistic. Did you know like most millionaires all make their bed every single morning? And I'm like, ha ha ha. That's what it must
Oh,
be like
they
to have
do.
privileged parents. Sorry, because everyone with $1 million at this point.
With your fancy little like pillows, like can't remember what movie it comes from. Remember when there's like the couple and they were making their bed and they're like, we make our bed every single morning. And we have these fancy ass pillows that we don't even use. They're just decoration.
I feel like it was
Like,
a Vince Vaughn movie.
I think it was a Vince Vaughn movie.
I'm like picturing Vince Vaughn.
Or wait, it was Along Came Polly.
Oh, it was
That's the movie that it was.
Why do we have all of these pillows?
It was the Ben Stiller movie. It was Ben Stiller, Jennifer Aniston.
That's another great thing, though. Look at the giggles that just got going. Think like one of the biggest things with mental health is just remember what you enjoy. And if you're at that point where you're like, I don't enjoy anything, because I know that happens. I know that happens. I get there.
I have those days where I'm just like, everything I'm doing today just sucks. I'm like, I don't even like making myself food today. I don't even want to like do laundry, even though I know it's going to be clean.
And on those days, and this is a tip, maybe you can try this. This is something I do, and it might come from being autistic. I just make up a character, and then I'm that person that day, and I'm like, act like you're someone else. You can pick a different accent, and I will.
Oh yes, most
try
definitely.
to completely embody that person. Sometimes it's a white man. I'm like, how easy would my life be as a white guy? And my day usually goes really well.
Acting as if you're not yourself to get through the day. But if it serves a purpose for you, like, I'm going to pretend that I'm a British maid, and you know what? I'm the one doing my laundry, and I'm the one cooking my own food.
Yes, I'm preparing the food for my mistress. And then you're like, you know what? She said she didn't like it, so now I get to eat it. It just adds a little bit of spice to your day. And it pulls you out of, I think that's what it is. It just occurred to me that's why it pulls you out of the doom thinking of your own life.
Yeah. Like, and it's like having a stand-in. Like, there are times where it just helps if I have somebody else just being right there and
body doubling.
Body doubling. You love that. You can't get yourself to vacuum your house because you hate vacuuming or you just don't want to. Go and ask your friend to come over, so you just act like Monica Geller and just vacuum the fuck out of your house.
Yeah, or sometimes it's even great. You call a friend up on the phone, someone you can like gab with. Yeah. There's a lot that you can do to pull yourself out of, I guess, just like the doom room that is this shit.
I think of like that SpongeBob scene where there's SpongeBob in his brain and then he's like looking for files and it's on fire at the same time. It's just like the dog meme where like, this is fine.
I love that you said that, SpongeBob. That is literally how I describe things to people. When like one of our friends, Spencer, we used to go out and I would just, I guess, autistic short circuit in public and just they'd be like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, all the files are being burned right now. And he goes, oh, how do we make that stop? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're like, I don't know. Can you just give me a second? Like, just watch me.
Make sure I don't
have a moment.
Yeah. Just make sure I don't fall over. He usually would just end up being like, I think you're done. You ready to go home? And I'm like, yeah, I just don't think I knew how to express that. And that's just I'm still learning how to regulate. Like my brain is still trying to figure out the synapse to send that out to. But the rewiring your brain, what you said is great. Honestly, guys, I know that this sounds so fucking stupid, but like mantras and shit are super helpful.
Oh God,
like,
they're so great.
I wake up in the morning and I'm like, you can literally accomplish anything you want today. You survived another day of your life. Congratulations. You are God's strongest soldier. What are you going to do today? And I'm like, same thing I do every day, Pinky. Try and take over the world. But that thought process, the smart ass, the being able to just like be quippy with myself, it starts your day off way better. And like, sure, you'll hit hiccups, but those hills are going to feel a lot more like just little speed bumps than hills.
Yes.
They'll go from mountains to hills to speed bumps to little pebbles in the road. And it's just re-teaching yourself kind of how to be a little you. Parent yourself, kind of. Oh
How to be a
no,
little
don't
you.
do that. That's
Yeah.
my trauma.
Parent yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. Well, I look at myself in the mirror and I
Be
tell myself
kind.
that I love my crusty boogers, and then I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
I like to every month I pick anything, like a saying or something I'm struggling with, and I write it over the top of my bathroom mirror. So like I'll have I'm enough if I'm constantly like I don't do
Yeah.
this, or I'm not good at this, or like the imposter syndrome is super super heavy. You just put something like that. Or if you're struggling with self-esteem, like you are beautiful and worthy of love. It's your brain is literally a computer
Yeah.
just waiting for you to program it. And
Yes.
it's a long
Writing letters to yourself. Writing love letters to yourself. Now, you may feel like shit or something one day or one night or one morning or one afternoon after eating your wonderful brunch, and the sads hit you. But if you just sit down and you write a love letter to yourself, and then you think about just even looking at it like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year away, and then you look at it and you're like, you thank yourself for the kind things and the loving things that you say to yourself when you look back at your own writings.
I love
Like
that.
I've looked back at writings of myself where I was just like, wow, I saw I was very, very sad in that moment. And I'm like, I am really happy that I wrote myself this letter.
This loving letter.
Yes. Because you have to future you. Future you is always
Always gonna be grateful.
yes, absolutely. Future self will love you for those things.
Yeah. Love yourself as loudly and as violently and as proudly as you want to love others. If
Yes.
mental health is a struggle for you and you are currently looking for help or resources, we are going to have those listed underneath of the video on our YouTube and on the website. Yeah, if you need help, there are resources that we are going to list.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, on either side of the screen. You are loved, you're worthy, and your value is not based on your output. You are valuable simply because you're here. Anything you would like to say,
Exactly.
Robin?
Life is a highway and I want to ride it all night long. All night long. All fucking night long.
All night.
The open road.
Open road. Life is the Wild West. Go find your gold, man. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I can't wait to have you back. I think you'll be
Yes.
a regular guest. It'll be great once we have Bunny full time instead of her murdering cows all the time. I'm kidding. She just works in a steakhouse. That sounded really mean. Bunny is amazing. Anyway, would you like to do the honors of the out call?
What's the out call?
Just thanks. Okay. Thank you, ladies
Hey,
and
thank
gents.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen,
for joining us on the I'm Dead podcast this week. I'm Ash Lamoureux.
And I'm Robin X.
And I will see you next week. Toodaloo.
You are gonna have a really, really bad time, sir.
This shit.